And now to stories outside Nigeria. Uganda partially restored internet access after longtime President Yoweri Museveni was declared the winner of the national elections. However, the government kept a ban on social media platforms in place to protect public order. The nationwide internet shutdown imposed days before the vote was lifted late on Saturday as general connectivity returned. But major social media sites like Facebook, WhatsApp, X, and TikTok remained restricted. Right now, joining us to discuss more on this is an African Liberty contributor, Gideon Adjei-Mawutor. Gideon, thank you for joining us. First, I'd like to ask, what does Museveni's latest victory say about the state of democracy in Uganda, considering all things, including the ban on social media and even connectivity? All right, if you can hear me, could you kindly unmute your device, please?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Great. So I think for Uganda, Museveni has been in power for 40 years now. And this particular election actually was a way to find out if Uganda was ready for change. Now, by Museveni winning this particular election, it signals that change is not going to be possible, but there shall be some sort of internal transformation. That means this also would mean that the current party and government will try in as much as possible to solidify its hold on the state apparatus and keep itself in power. We see that in some shifts that happened in 2023 when Museveni did some government shifts with ministries and other things like that. So what we see here is that things are not really going to change, but there will be little transformation and then the consolidation of power amongst Museveni's allies and also his family, since they are actually being put into key spaces in government. One question we have to start thinking about is that Museveni is 81. And so this means that the party must start thinking about transitioning. Who is going to take over after Museveni steps out of the limelight or the political stage? And reports have been told his son is the one being groomed to take over, or any other. So we are not so how this will play out for oppositions or opposition parties in Uganda. It would actually could mean that most oppositional parties are just going to be dressed up, and the government is going to continue to have a continual rule for the next 10 years after Museveni has gone. So this particular election was an indictment and a way to show strength and to point to oppositional parties that they have come to stay, and the rule of Museveni would continue after he even steps out of the political limelight.
Okay, so I'm also very curious to find how significant the internet shutdown was in actually shaping the election outcomes. Did that have any effect?
Definitely, it had serious effects on the outcome of the elections. Now, we live in the fourth industrial revolution, where internet and information goes around. People hardly even spend time watching digital or free-to-air news, so to speak. So what happens is that information concerning the elections, the manifestos of other political parties, that what they are trying to put across is suppressed. Now, that suppression also means that information that voters need to act on is taken away from them. And so we are seeing Uganda playing what we would say procedural democracy, the outlook of having periodic elections that is free and fair. However, what we are also beginning to see is that Uganda is lacking in what one can call substantive democracy. And so here there's no choice being made or given to the people. It's very difficult for them to make choices. So there's an illusion of choice by having a procedural way of running the democratic governance, which is the elections. The shutdown of the internet points out that structurally there is no choice for the people. But procedurally, you will go to the polls and you make your choose your candidate. But then the people do not have actually the choice to pick because they have no information on making the actual choices that they know and need to change their lives.
Did irregularities seriously undermine the legitimacy of these results then?
Do come again.
These reported irregularities that we've spoken about, do these seriously undermine the legitimacy of the results? Are we now going to say that the results may not be 100% correct?
Yes, we can come up with that conclusion that the election result may not be 100% correct. In fact, Bobby Wine, who is the best opposition person in Uganda right now, and particularly in this race, has made social media posts pointing out that he feels that this election was fake, rigged. This is an allegation that he has put across, and you can see that those sentiments also with people in his camp. But then also election observers like former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, says procedurally it went well, as in everyone was able to vote, but as they observe the shutdown of the internet, the intimidation of opposition rallies may have contributed to the questioning of the free and fairness of the election. So we can say that, but whether that would take place in Uganda and whether that would sway, say, the judiciary to pronounce a re-election, that is something I doubt we would see. Because again, we have seen that the current government has had a lot of its own cadre in the judiciary. So they do the deeds of the government. So it's quite difficult to say this would be overturned, even by the judiciary.
All right, Gideon, thank you so much for joining us and lending your voice to this very important conversation. And we'll see how things go and see what these reflect for democracy in the country. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.